Child molesters are very tenacious people. They love molesting childs. It's crazy. It's like their favorite thing. I mean, it's so crazy because when you consider the risk in being a child molester, speaking not of even the damage you're doing, but the risk, there is no worse life available to a human than being a caught child molester. And yet they still do it, which you can only really surmise that it must be really good. I mean, from their point of view, it must be amazing for them to risk so much.
Is that joke offensive? Some people seem to think that it is.
What if victims are watching? What if victims' parents are watching? It's such a sickening thing that happens to people that I know comedians try to push the limit and they sometimes take risks and they don't work. But I think with something like child molestation, it's just not funny and he's too clever. Like he could come up with 1,000 different things.
What are we really asking when we ask whether a joke or a tweet or an image is offensive or not? We're not asking really whether someone was offended, are we? No, we're asking if what was said was morally right. How could somebody determine that? How do we know when a joke, for example, is morally wrong?
And I feel there is no forum that is acceptable for this ever. I know somebody that was molested at 3 years old. 3 years old, and there's nothing funny about it. No nightclub, no place ever deserves to have that be made fun of.
That person seems to think that it's the effect of the joke that matters, because child molestation is such a sensitive subject, because the harm caused is so gruesome and lasting, because any lighthearted mention of it could in some way diminish the suffering of victims or bring that pain back. Child molestation as a topic should be wholly avoided in the realm of comedy. Now that's certainly a persuasive argument. Comedy's purpose can't be to cause pain to innocent victims. But of course, that wasn't the purpose of Louis C.K.'s joke in the first place. It wasn't his intent.
It just comes down to one question: intent. It's all about intent. It's only about intent.
In that clip, Ricky Gervais argues the opposite of effect being the moral judge of a joke, and instead says that it's the comedian's intention that really matters in the end. And clearly, Louis C.K.'s intention in that joke is to use comedy to get us to think about society's attitude and treatment of pedophilia. Perhaps he intimates that we revile this demographic too blindly, taking solace in our normalcy when we know that the complexities of sexuality mean that the urge to pedophilia is not something chosen. Never does he forgive or validate the act. He takes it for granted that child abuse of any kind deserves the harshest scorn and retribution. This, I think, is the intent and, for many, the effect of this joke. A subtle indictment of our smug righteousness and our fear of the lawlessness of sexuality in civilized society. Indeed, jokes are uniquely designed to deliver messages like this. They sneak into consciousness past the barriers that normally defend against ways of thinking that threaten our comfort. Now, that's not to say that I totally agree with Gervais that intention is all that matters. Clearly, it isn't. We have to be aware of both the intention and the unintended consequences of what we say. We all know that too often those in privilege define the boundaries of morality without taking into account the decidedly different experiences of those who've been subjugated or marginalized, or worse. These debates about political correctness and comedy have been happening more and more frequently as the internet has given voice to more and more people. I'm always amazed at how the arguments devolve so quickly into two opposing camps. One side will raise a concern about a joke, and the other will come down hard defending jokes at all costs, lamenting the never-ending encroachment of PC police and social justice warriors on free speech.
They just want to use these words. That's racist. That's sexist. That's prejudice. They don't even know what they're talking about.
What all this says to me is that morality is messy. It shifts and changes. Now, people often say that something went over the line, but there are no lines in morality. There's a no man's land, a nebulous fringe of very, very tough questions. The way I see it, great comedians are like detectives. We take a look at Luther or any other detective movie or TV show, and it's easy to see that as a society, we're sympathetic to the idea of letting detectives bend the rules for the greater good. This is because we understand that justice, like morality, is abstract. Detectives are trained to navigate the swamps at the edges of justice, and we give them the leeway to do so. My opinion is that our best comedians should be given the same reasonable leeway with morality. I don't know how the culture determines who's allowed to do this. There are no easy answers for that. I think when a comedian is inducted into the profession's highest ranks, we just sort of know, though I see how unsatisfying an answer that is. Other than that, all we can do is look at the jokes, their intent, their effect, and whether or not we're laughing. But if we want our collective morality to remain nuanced and progressive, we have to let comedians near the things we find uncomfortable, or perhaps even wrong. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. I wanted to let you know that I am producing The Nerdwriter full-time now. So I'm devoting all my time and effort into making the best possible stuff for you. Stuff that I think is, I hope, a cut above the torrent of content that is being pushed out on the internet every day. So if you think that The Nerdwriter is something that you're not seeing anywhere else online on YouTube, I want to ask you to please support the channel by clicking here, and pledging to my Patreon page. As little as $1, everything helps. I should let you know that The Nerdwriter is always going to be free. So if you can't afford it, I don't want you to pledge. But if you have a little bit left to spare, it would be much appreciated. So thank you so much, and here are some more videos.